Hello, I'm Czardus, and let's play City Skylines. It is time for the best maps of the month. Again, this month we are covering, or this video we are covering, the maps from April 2023. So be sure to stick around to see the 5 maps that I found to be most intriguing for the month. Now, there are a couple things I should note. First of all, there weren't as many high quality maps this month. I don't know why. I think maybe a lot of the map makers were busy or something, or like the more veteran map makers were busy. But so that means that there are some issues with some of these that you might want to address at some point. For example, this map has this bit of an interchange. But anyway, this is Snohomish County by Fruity. So that is a fun one. It is a Focus Point Everett by Fruity, and it is a realistic terrain map. It's from from Washington State, and of course it is Snohomish County, and you've got your start square here. There are this map does have a lot of potential, despite the road work that clearly needs a little bit of addressing. But we do have a nice start square that is relatively flat. Let's take a look at terrain. Yeah, it's relatively flat there, and then you've got a ton of space to expand. It is a very flat map, so it is a builder's paradise. Let's take a look at natural resources. You do have some ore over here. You have a little bit of oil in the water, or you can work over in here to get your oil. Or of course you can import it. There is forest over in this area especially would be useful because it's not too far from the start square. And then there's plenty of fertile land in the valley here, which is very traditional for this actual area in real life. But then you've got a lot of space that you can work with. You've got rail coming in from 2 directions, but it does not connect here, and so that will cut down on inter-map traffic, so that is useful. But then you also have different ways that you can expand from there, and again, it is a map that needs a little bit of work. If you're a highly experienced player, you might want to address the roads a little bit, but it is definitely very playable and one that is worth checking out if you liked realistic terrain and having fun on a very nice flat map. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, and next on the list we have Mount Meru, Tanzania by Palms Time. Now this map was created by Palms Time for a announcement trailer for Paradox, so it is a very vanilla map so that it can have meet the requirements that Paradox needed for that. But it is a great map. It is based in Africa, and I love that we are seeing some maps come up from Africa. And of course here you can see what I assume is Mount Meru, and now we are heading over to the start square. Let's take a look at this. So right now we are entering the start square here, which the one thing about this start square that you might notice right away is that there is no interchange to get off of. So you will need to build with that, but you can just connect to the highway to start and it should be fine. And then you can go from there and expand outwards. The terrain is pretty flat here. You have a bit of a valley to work with, so it's a bit flat going out this way. You've got a hill there, and then you've got a hill here, and then of course you've got the mountain in the background there. So your city is probably going to develop in this area. Then you've got water flowing through and some nice stuff there. You've got a nice interchange here, very smooth, and you've got traffic going through, and then I think you've got external connection there. And we've got some out this way. You can see the traffic going that way, and you've got external connections for both of these as well. So you will have a lot of inter-map traffic going on, and you'll want to make sure to be careful with that when you're working with your highways. let's take a look at the external resource or the natural resources. You've got a little bit of fertile land on the valley so that you can get to your farms wherever you need to. You have a little bit of oil in there, a little bit of ore out this way and there, and of course you've got some forested land as well. So you have a lot that you can work with there. Let's take a look at transit, and you've got an airplane path through there. You have a rail coming through here, and of course you've got your highways as well. There's no ship path on this map, which should be fine because you probably won't be doing too much with shipping on a river this small. Water flow itself is pretty good. It goes out that way, and so if you need to put your water on the river, it should be flowing fine. You can get your intake here and put your sewer outflow way down here, and you should be okay for the most part, but that is something you'll want to keep an eye on as always. But that is this map. It is quite nice. It is simple, and it has potential for building a nice big city. Let's move on to the next one. And next on the list, we have Alpental by Alpen Trainers. So this map is, as you guessed, based in the European Alps, and it is a fun one that has a little bit of fields that have been built on there. They are a little bit more grid-like than I would expect European farms to be, but that is just one observation I've made as an American who has limited experience in Europe. But yeah, you can see here we've got a little bit of squares. But anyway, they're coming onto the start square now. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. It is a pretty challenging start, I think. If you look at the terrain here, you have a little bit of flat here and a little bit over by the river, but that's not a ton of space to work with if you're not using mods to unlock the map. So it will be a challenging start, which is, you know, I like challenging starts. They are fun. It can be interesting to see how you end up expanding. Speaking of expansion, let's take a look here. And you have, of course, the background of the Alps in there, and you've got a nice valley here. It does open up to what I would presume maybe would be an alpine lake, but it does have a shipping path in there, so it can't quite be an alpine lake. It must be a maybe leading into the Mediterranean or something like that, but it is interesting. And taking a look now at natural resources, it doesn't have much. That is the one thing on this map that is missing. You do have a little bit of fertile land on these squares, but they were really painted, or like used for painting. The same with the oil. The oil is there. You have some offshore. You have a little bit of ore offshore as well, but not much to work with on the map itself. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Transit-wise, you do have the ship path that comes up here into this bay that you can work with, or you have, you know, an airline path, of course, and you have rail coming into the start square, and then you've got the highway. Now, the highway, as you can see, this interchange isn't the greatest for your start squares, so you will want to probably expand out into here and rework this a little bit. It gets kind of tight coming through here. It's a little bit of a roundabout style, but it doesn't quite work. And once you start adding more traffic on here, you'll end up getting more and more trouble with that, I think. So that is one spot that you'll want to check out. But other than that, this map is pretty cool, and it does have the potential that you can work with on there. So that is this one. Let's move on to the next one. I am so excited to partner with Apex Gaming PCs to bring you a custom line of gaming PCs named after some of my most popular series. I've worked with their team to put together an amazing setup for playing games like Skylines. There's a link to see the full line in both the description below and the pinned comment. Oh, and be sure to use the discount code Czardus to receive up to $250 off your purchase. And next up, we have Shigatsu by Random5. This is a very nicely done map. I like it a lot, and it is inspired by the Tokyo terrain, as I understand it, but not actually a recreation. It is just hand done and inspired by that, and so it's pretty cool. It's very well done for a hand-drawn map. and there's a lot of road work that we can take a look at in a moment. Right now we are going to be moving into the start square, and we'll take a look at that first. So now let's see here. We have a nice start square here. You can see that it opens up. It's got this nice interchange here, which, by the way, it's interesting, the lane math here. So it comes in and 1 + 1, but then it comes into 3. Now, the reason why I think it does that is to, you know, if you're driving on this in real life, you would want to maybe have the ability to merge a little bit, or maybe come over here, like if you know that you're going from here to here, stay in the left lane so that you don't have to deal with the merging on that side. But at the same time, I kind of think maybe it should only have 2 lanes on each of these. But to each their own. Now, it is interesting like that, I said. But anyway, you've got the rail coming in here, and you've got a nice other road over here that, where does this one go? Let's see. It comes across some big bridges here, and then it goes into just kind of expanding out this way, and have some nice curving through there. You also have a tunnel, so it goes... It's interesting the way that is designed. I don't know what else to say about that, but it comes over here, and then you've got a lot of winding through the hill here, so that is fun as well. But back to the start square, let's take a look at the terrain. Of course, it is very flat here, and the whole thing, you've got a ton of space to work with here. And this river would make it very interesting to work with as well, because you can get your roads along that, and that can add variety. If you are typically a grid-based player, having rivers like this can really help break you out of that a little bit, because you have to accommodate the river in order to build your road layout. And then over here, we've got some more flat land as well. So you really can expand quite a bit on this map. And then you could come across here and really expand out that way too. Let's take a look at natural resources. You've got ore on the river, which I think is something that Random 5 has done before. It kind of gives that texture a different look for the riverbed. And then you've got a little bit of fertile land, not a ton, and you've got a little bit of oil in the water as well. So there is a little bit of resources to work with. You don't have a lot. It's mostly used for painting a bit, but that is one thing to keep in mind, and one thing to know going in. Transit wise, you do have a ship path coming into the bay here, so you have a lot of options for your cargo harbor. And then you've got the rail coming onto the start square as well, and you've got external connections with those roads. So this map does have potential, and it is one that I would recommend giving a try and testing out. Let's move on to the #1 map of the month. And the #1 map of the month this month is San Juan Islands by Poplar Ponderosa. So this is a great map that is based on, as you guessed, the San Juan Islands in Washington State in the US. And this is one of my favorite regions. And I have vacationed here before. It is beautiful. I highly recommend it. And in fact, I've used it as inspiration for a map that I created myself called Capilano Islands. But anyway, you can see this map would be so much fun to build on. Archipelagos are always a fun little challenge, and let's take a look here. We are now in the start square. You can see you've got a nice interchange here and a nice little space to work with. This is where in real life the town Friday Harbor is located. Taking a look at the terrain, it is very nice and flat. You've got a nice flat map to work with here, and the whole thing, you've got lots of space to build. The key here is the challenge is in the water. It's not the terrain itself, but the water that is your challenge. And you can go around, if you're using 81 tiles to unlock the map, you can build small towns across the map on different islands, and then you can go in and have ferries connecting them, which would be a lot of fun. But if you're not using 81 tiles, there is also potential for here, because you can expand out and really focus your town on the one main island here. But that is really nice to do. Now, resources wise, we have a bit of fertile land on the main island, a little bit of oil in spots, and a little bit of ore, lots of forestry that you can work with. So you do have resources you can utilize here. And transport wise, we do have a ship path coming through here. This bridge should be just high enough, I would think. Maybe a little bit low for cruise ships. I'm not sure, but it does come around here. You've got a nice little lighthouse as well, but you do have a lot that you can work with there. Trains, we do have a train coming on here, which, you know, the roads and the trains are not realistic to the region. There aren't any trains on the islands or highways like this, but it is a fun little thing. And one thing that the map maker did do is worked with the train on the fish so that there is a little bit of tuna in spots, which is very rare. You don't usually see tuna on the maps. That is the hardest one as a map maker to get to show up in your water, but kudos to Poplar Ponderosa for getting the water just right to get all types of fish available. And like I said, this one looks like a lot of fun. I recommend it. I hope you guys all have fun playing it and share with me the cities that you build on my Discord server. But anyway, take a look at the video on the screen now. It will take you to more maps that you might find fun to play. And thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Take care.